was a Saturday, and we had a dance. I want to say homecoming, maybe one of the high school dances coming up. And my mom and my sister had just gone out and got 2 dresses for her dances because she was going to 2 different school dances. And so I wanted a new dress, is what it came down to. And I asked my mom, and she gave me one of her typical responses, which was, well, why don't we wait until the next dance and we'll let you lose a little bit of weight first and then we can get you one. And in that moment, I thought, okay, you just bought Lily 2 dresses, even though she's going with a different guy to each dance, and she could wear the same one, really, but you won't buy me one because you want me to lose weight first.
How did you feel about yourself while using the eating disorder, and did it help?
I was so angry. I wanted them to hurt. I wanted them to die for what they had done to me, all of them. And so I would constantly eat so that I could feel better, because the anger never went away. And at 8, I also started using drugs along with the bulimia. Wasn't enough for me. The purging wasn't enough, because in between the purging, I would get so tired and I was like, oh, I'm still feeling. And so on top of that, I would also use drugs. And so in between that, I would do the drugs and then the bulimia. And then I would throw, smoking some cigarettes at, that young of an age, or stealing my mom's money, or, it just went from addiction to addiction to addictions, to where that's how I lived my whole life, was this addiction to this addiction, so that the anger, so I didn't have to deal with the anger.
When I would drop the weight, it would promise that I would see the scale and I would get the high from, oh, you dropped that.
So you'd feel good. It would promise to make you feel good.
It would promise to make me feel good and accomplish something. Because I accomplished, if I lost more weight, then I accomplished something.
It gave me confidence in myself. It told me, that I'm a powerful, strong person. Look at me, I don't have to eat.
In the beginning, I did feel good. In the beginning, I felt like I had this euphoric high, and like all I ever wanted in life, like this, glorious time came true. And that lasted about 6 months. And from there, it was just this spiral downward of worse and worse and worse.
I thought, the way I thought it was helping was that when I ate food, or depending on what it was, like, I realized that I'm very much an emotional eater. And so certain emotions would bring up like ice cream was when I was sad or angry, and eating the ice cream made me forget about what I was struggling with, forget or push it back. I think that's probably the better way to put it. Is I would eat food and just be like, all right, okay, I need to be done with that now. I didn't know how to deal with it any other way, and so I would eat and then just kind of lodge it back in my brain.
What was the catalyst for you getting help?
I think it would be, I was scared physically that I was going to do damage to my own body. And I wasn't happy anymore. I was very prone to crying and weepy and sad all the time. And I remember coming in, probably I think to my first session with Rachel, and saying, I don't care, I don't want to feel like this again. I don't care if I have to gain weight or whatever. I was to the point where I just wanted to feel good. I didn't care what it took or what I had to look like.
I had a couple breaking points, actually. The first breaking point was when I was home alone with my son, and I had been passing out. And I was always able to, I just pass out for a little while. It's not a big deal. Well, I passed out with him alone, and he couldn't wake me up. My next breaking point, I would say, was probably on the phone with my doctor, because I had left a message with one of his nurses and basically said, I don't care, how did I say it? I don't care how I get rid of the food, I want it out.
As I got sicker and I got thinner, and I ended up with Crohn's disease, and my hands are always cold, my feet are always, I had all these physical extremities, and nothing was good. Nothing felt good. The feelings were still there. I got up to using heroin, and the feelings when the heroin would go away, and so if it wasn't the marijuana and the bulimia, then it was the anorexia and the heroin, and the feelings were still there. I never dealt with them until, I woke up in prison and was half dead.
A lot of it was, what I was getting from the eating disorder, I wasn't getting anything anymore. It was just pain, depressed. What I initially got, I never got anymore. So you told me about your major breakthrough, going to prison, as what made you get into recovery, like deciding that you want something different for your life. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about bits of information or other breakthroughs that you've had to help you let go of the eating disorder more?
Breakthroughs for me. Realizing that, I do want to live, and that I'm not on a mission to die. I have a 20-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. The way that I've been parenting them and the way that I've been treating myself were like completely two different things. I am nurturing and loving, and I feed them, and I want them to have all their vegetables, and I would go home then and do all these different things to myself, and I'm like, what am I doing?
I think that seeing food as not good or bad has really helped too, because I think at certain times I use food as a weapon, as like, well, with my mom, I definitely did. If she would say, well, you may have lost 5 pounds, but you still have a whole lot longer to go. And so I'd be like, well, whatever, I'm done. And then I'd eat food. And then there were times when I was trying to please people, and so I would avoid food. I'd be like, well, I'm not going to eat you because you're bad. And I feel like my relationship with food has changed. It's not something that I look to as much anymore. It's not fully, I don't feel fully healed yet, but it's, once my relationship with food changed, and I started seeing it more as something that I needed on a daily basis and not as something to rely on, that was a huge kind of step forward for me.
When I was at treatment at Bermuda Ranch, the first day that I met with my therapist, he asked me what I was struggling with, and I told him, I'm anorexic. And he looked at me right then and he said, no, you're not anorexic, you're Amanda, and you have anorexia.
I guess one of the biggest things that has come up is when I was a kid, my father worked a lot, and I never really understood the influence that had on me. Like, I always figured, my dad was around, and, he loved us a lot, and that was always well known, but I never realized how much my behavior was aimed at trying to get him to spend more time with us.
The biggest one, I think, was just having faith that what it was telling me was a lie. It certainly didn't feel like a lie, but I had to believe that it was a lie.
The biggest one for me was, that's the eating disorder talking, and that's a lot of what I pass on to clients is, there's you, there's the healthy you, and then there's the eating disorder, this thing that, like I said, only wants to kill and destroy and torment your life. When you teach someone to understand that this is you, and this is your blessed life, and all that you can do, and all your purpose, and all your gifts, and all that the kindness that you have for yourself, and then this is the disorder. When you understand what the two sound like, then you can, as soon as you hear anything that sounds like that it's the eating disorder, instantly you say to yourself, that's the